can remember growing up as a little girl and being surprised that when I went to school, the characters in the book where I was learning to read were all white, and there were no black characters. And that sort of baffled and surprised me.
Tonight, more than 200 years after a former
comrades and friends.
And I've seen.
I thought it would be easy.
I may not get there with you.
But actually, it's just irritating.
Words can stimulate thought, but whatever great leaders say, it's actions that stimulate change. Every year in October, Britain celebrates Black History Month, a vehicle to start talking about it, yes, but more importantly, a chance to weave it into the curriculum at any time.
When I started teaching, I went in hoping that I could make a difference. And I do believe that in the 60s, when there were no black teachers, children often couldn't see themselves being a teacher because they didn't see a teacher from their culture being out there. So I feel by being a teacher, that helps a lot of children to say, you know what, hey, I can get there, I can do it too. She did it, so can I.
If you're from a global majority background and you see a very few number of the teachers are from global majority backgrounds, then it gives the impression that actually education perhaps isn't something for global majority people.
One of the things that we've done at St Mary Redcliffe to really help young people grow in their self-perception and feel proud about who they're being is to make sure that there are loads of really good role models. For a school like ours, which is about a third black and minority ethnic, we've got many amazing parents who are really willing to come in and speak in assemblies. We've got members of the local community, pastors and so on, who can come in and have a positive influence. We use a black businessman who grew up in Bristol in quite a tough school, and he does some coaching and mentoring with our young people. And obviously I've got lots of excellent staff who are great role models as well.
Teacher Maureen Morris is a strong advocate for role models. They work, she knows it, and she feels it.
It does make me angry. I look at my own schooling. I grew up in Birmingham, I was educated there, and many of my black contemporaries, most of them didn't achieve anything. And I feel there was a lack of understanding, and hence that's why I wanted to go into teaching, to make a difference, to actually become a role model myself for black students, to actually say, hey, look, I've done it, you can do it.
Outside of the stereotypical music and sports fields.
Award-winning filmmaker Michael Jenkins had always wanted to work in media. With very few role models to aspire to in his teenage years, he took inspiration from his family. His film about challenging stereotypes pushed him further to bring positive diversity to our screens.
Initially, I wanted to do something which challenged media stereotypes. I mean, I've always watched things on TV and not been happy with the way black people are portrayed.
Stereotypes can find their origin.
I think because of the lack of role models, in particular these people that are hidden away, they need to come out and they need to be put into the forefront for young people to look at and to learn about.
Performed by white people in blackface.
I interviewed Paul Stevenson, and I know a lot of people my age didn't really know about Paul Stevenson, didn't really know about the struggle. You know about the struggle from Martin Luther King, things like that, but you didn't know that that actually happened here as well in Bristol. So that again, and to hear his story and talk to him, that was inspiring for me. That was something that inspired me, and I feel that would inspire other people as well.
Although he was inspired by his father and brother, his lack of role model images was compounded by the fact that there were very few black children in his school in Bath.
We had a black supply teacher come into our school, and that was really fascinating because I've never been taught by, I mean, it was me and two other people, the only black kiddies in the year. A black teacher might have made me have a different perspective on life earlier. now I'm just getting into documentary filmmaking, so I've recently just finished filming a film called Black Soldier, White Army about Cyrus, who was a soldier who fought in Northern Ireland in the 80s, and I'm just doing a short film about his life.
His latest award-winning production tells the story of the experiences of a black serviceman who grew up in a children's home.
That was played recently at the Africa Eye Film Festival. They're going to try and help me get it onto a slot on Channel 4, hopefully sometime next year.
A place to stay in that we have to thank Margaret Thatcher for.
Singer-songwriter Sophia May grew up in the West Country and spent much time developing her craft in Bristol. A successful recording artist, her first single went to #1 in America 3 years ago, and she hasn't looked back. Although many young people want a career like Sophia's, she's careful not to give a false impression of her music success.
Oh, I worked hard. Loving music, I did it as much as I could, and I worked as hard as I could. And then after the song went to #1, I started working harder again at music because it was that time my foot was in the door and I wanted to pursue from there. So I worked extra hard, and I've been working hard for the last 5 years since then.
If all fell apart tomorrow, Sophia has other plans.
I have a good education, and I've always kept a career on one hand and done music on the other, and I'll always say you have to have plan B because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You know, you might make 100,000 in 1 year and nothing the next year, and if you don't have anything to fall back on and you're left in your 40s, 50s with no job background at all or an education, then you know, what are you going to do from there?
Travis Alabanza is just finishing at St Mary Redcliffe and Temple School sixth form. This multi-talented artist has applied to Oxford and has had offers from Durham, King's and Edinburgh.
I'm applying, well, I've sent off my application, I'll send it off tomorrow for Oxford. So that's the early application to study theology, which is the study of religion. Yeah, so I hopefully there, but I've also kind of got a little pipe dream. At the moment, I'm doing my US applications and I'm sending off my Harvard application November 1st. Yeah.
The big challenge for schools is how do you get young people to have the best perception of themselves, of their potential and who they're going to go on to be. And secondary school is a really challenging time for young people, for their parents and their teachers, because young people are trying to work out, who am I? Who does society say I am? Who do my mates say I am? Who do my parents say I am? And what do my teachers say? And how do I choose out of all of that who I really am? So in schools, it matters that we've got the right role models for young people. It matters that we're giving the right messages back about who you are as a young person.
I think it's important to kind of unpack the issue of role models a little bit, though, because I don't think that you have to be black to be a good role model for a black young person. It might make a difference to a black boy, for example, to have an older black person on the scene, but it might be that, you know, a white teacher or a white mentor might be able to relate to that boy's experiences, background, aspirations, in a way that would be meaningful.
I want to be a racing driver.
Much of the popular media portrays black boys, particularly, as quite aggressive, quite violent, and not necessarily as good role models. Thankfully that's changing now, and we're getting more black men portrayed as doctors, as teachers, as responsible figures.
I want to be a teacher.
Often we find role models who are really way out, where children feel we could never get there. What you want are role models for the children to see, yes, that person is coming from this background. They started off down there, now they've moved all the way up here. So we too can succeed.
I want to be a dentist.
It's not just being black, it's also being a woman, I think, as well, because not many women
are scientists, and if they are, not many women are chemists, which I am. So I try to encourage, women, regardless of race, to get involved in sciences. And I try to encourage especially black young women to actually either to do something like science or, have a career and establish themselves in something that they enjoy, whether it's science or humanities.
I want to be a doctor.
Well, I hope children will not only see me as a role model to aspire to, but I hope that what we give them when they come into school is to aspire to achieve great things. It could be to be a doctor or an artist, or the sort of the sky is the limit, that they have aspirations and dreams that can be fulfilled.